Peoples of the worldwide federated internet, what's good? I am not the wisest man on the planet, and I know enough to know that there's a lot I don't know. The one thing I've tried to pride myself in is if I don't know, I at least know where I can get the answers. Thinking people, I think it's important to surround yourself with thinking people, and not just people who think like you, just thinking people in general, because the brain needs to be exercised. That's why reading is important. Reading comprehension is important. I don't understand the mechanics of it, right? So I can't speak to you as or from the standpoint of someone who actually studies the brain. I don't. That's not my expertise. But I do know how differently I operate when I'm reading and exercising my brain versus when I'm just at a lull. There's been moments where I read less and watch more entertainment, and I can tell that there's something different about the way I process information. So, excuse that. So, thinking people, being around thinking people and using your brain, I think is hugely important. There's definitely a visible difference when I speak to someone who reads and thinks a lot. Not necessarily just sitting down and reading a book. I'm not saying if you're not reading all day long, you're not exercising your brain. I'm just reading and thinking through complicated issues. And one of the best ways to do that is to surround yourself with other thinking people, or to, at a bare minimum, go and seek out people who are thinking people, because it's almost like lifting weights, right? Your muscles, they're not going to grow if there's not some sort of tension, right? This is why people who typically, you always hear the jokes about people raised on farms, right? That the farm raised, country bred strength. And a lot of the reason that many people who grew up on farms and did things of that nature are so naturally strong is because their work, what they did on a day-to-day basis, involved tension against their muscles. They were working these things naturally, so their strength is almost a given. I think the same way people who exercise their brain, who are forced to think, who hear complicated thoughts and are forced to work through these things mentally, their brains are a little sharper. And I'm not saying that I'm there. I make an effort to be there. I listen to things that are well beyond my understanding. I'm telling you, when I listen to subjects and topics and people talk about things, I go seeking these things out. I'll watch videos and listen to lectures on things, I'm telling you, that are way beyond my understanding. But I'm making an effort to think about some things that are a little complicated, that may be a little more than I can bear at that time. But I'm trying to work myself up to that, to understand why I don't understand this topic, and I want to. I don't think that happens enough. I think we are all guilty of this, me included. You get in your comfort zone, and the term is used, echo chamber, right? So if you never hear a thought contrary to what you already think, you don't have to think anything contrary to what you already believe. So you don't really have to fully develop your thoughts. whether wrong or right. And the problem that creates is when there is a complicated situation that requires some circumspect thinking, it's hard for you to do that. You can't see beyond what you want to see because you've not exercised your brain to be able to. This happens a lot. It has happened to me. I have been wrong a lot. And I've had to go back and look at, well, where did I go wrong? Where did I mess up? And a lot of times the area where I messed up is I wasn't exercising my brain enough. And I almost couldn't see past what was in my own mind. Right? Like you ever talk to somebody who is let's say a worrywart, right? A person who worries a lot. Most times that person who worries a lot, they can't see past what they're thinking in their own brain. So even though their worries might not be based in reality, it's all they see. So because that's all they see, it doesn't matter what you show them, they're going to be convinced of their own calamity, regardless of the evidence. And I think that happens when it comes to complex thought. And I think that's why a lot of times you see issues where people are having a discussion and there comes this blocking point. And there's been many discussions I've had with people, and I hold a certain belief and I believe it strongly, and I believe I have evidence of whatever it is I believe. And they present me a counter argument that I'm like, I didn't consider that. So I have to go back to the drawing board. Right. And versus me just saying, well, no, I don't care what you're saying. I'm right. I hear what they're saying and I'm like, that's a valid point. I could be wrong. Let me go back and evaluate this. I think being able to do that and being able to be objective comes from using your brain, because you realize that when you carry a thought to its furthest end, sometimes at the beginning of your thought, you're convinced you're 100% right. Whatever it is you believe is the way it is. When you get to the end of that thought, it's like, oh man, I thought I was right. But now when I consider these other factors, no, I'm pretty convinced now that I'm actually wrong. I was on the right path, but my conclusion was way off. We need thinking people. Not only do we need thinking people, we need to surround ourselves with thinking people, not just physically. And like I said, I'm talking about all of the information you take in. Surround yourself with some people that may not agree with you wholeheartedly, but they think through issues. One of the books that I recommend highly outside of the Bible, I always recommend the Bible, of course, but I understand that not everyone in my audience are believers. Right. So to a believer, that's going to be obvious. You're going to read your Bible, right? You're going to get the most complex and the most diverse thoughts straight from God on high. What a better way to develop your brain. A secular book that I recommend, and this is not because everything in the book is right. I always have to lead with that, because you recommend a book and people automatically assume, oh, he subscribes to everything that's said in this book. Plato's Republic. If you want to refine your thinking, let me see. I got it in my library here for those who are watching the video. This is the book. I'm trying to get it on video. Plato's The Republic. If you want to refine the way you think, if you want your thoughts to be more complete, if you want to think more circumspectly, if you want to know the benefit of asking the right questions, that is a great book. Just some thoughts I wanted to share this morning. Hopefully it's helpful to you. Y'all know what it is. Stay frosty, people.